Before you start the design process, you need to have some guidelines that are going to help you to solidify and answer questions that are going to affect what you ultimately design. I've gone ahead and I've placed 10 rules or 10 little things that you want to consider before you actually begin the design process. The first thing that you want to do is you want to answer the question who, what, and why. You really need to understand who the client is. This should address the company's values, their attitudes, and goals. You want to know who the audience is. This may be an answer that's going to be answered demographically, such as children 4 through 10, or perhaps psychographically, older people who love traveling. You need to understand what their need is. Is the logo an answer to a problem or a bad product or staff or perhaps message? These questions are going to help solve and answer current problems, but you also need to take into consideration the client's long-term goals. Every company will evolve and change. The size of the company, the product, the business itself. Their needs are going to be in constant flux. A logo needs to grow and evolve with them. Some brief questions to consider are, what is the client's business? What is their purpose? You want to compare this particular client to other companies. What is their current positioning in relationship to other companies? Definitely get the client's mission. This can be an essential piece of the puzzle that will help you to ultimately design the right logo. What is the client's style and manner? What is their corporate culture? Find out what the 5 key goals are over the next 5 years. Find out what promises the client makes. Who is the client's current audience? Do they want to gain another type of audience? What is the desired demographic? All important questions. How does the current audience view the brand today? How does the client want the audience to view the brand? And how does the client differ from its competition? Make sure you explore these questions and find out right answers. This will help prepare you to make something that is going to withstand the test of time. You want to identify, don't explain. A logo should not literally describe the client's business. A logo is an identifier. A logo should be a signpost that identifies the company and reflects their attitudes and values. Don't try to literally describe every aspect of the company. A logo should be a shortcut. It should be a visual representation and or a language that is quickly recognizable and memorable. A logo should speak with a straightforward and clear voice. You want to make sure you understand limitations. A good logo cannot save a bad product or a poorly run company. But a well-designed logo will always help a good product realize its full potential. Smart design, along with repetition, can make a huge impact. The logo should give direction and attitude, while the product informs the meaning. Be seductive. Most people prefer to be seduced by a mark than repulsed by one. The message needs to be the most important part of the design, but the form itself must draw the viewer into it. Logos need to be simple and dynamic. Companies don't consider their companies simple, though. A logo needs to be a clear expression of the client. Logos are only seen for a moment in many forms, and they need to be instantly recognizable. Being direct is powerful. Let something be what it is. A logo is the first answer to the following question: why am I better and different from others? Having an impression and seductive logo brings you closer to potential clients. An impressive mark gives your partners respect and trust in your own power. It's not possible for a logo that does not respect these rules to impress people. Remember, you can always make visuals aesthetically seductive, but logos are most successful when they are simple and dynamic. You want to make mnemonic value. When deconstructing how memory is made, there are 4 distinct attributes of the process. The first is that we see shape and color. We basically base all our visual recognition on this. Is something red? Is it round? Is it green and linear? Shape and color allow us to determine form. So think of like letter forms and facial recognition. Once the shape and the color have been determined, then we position it to our understanding of historical continuity. We ask ourselves, does this look contemporary, or is it associated with a particular period in history? Does it have relevance to me at this particular time? The next thing we do, We use the information that we have obtained from learned responses to form meaning. We are taught that red means stop, green means go, pink is associated with femininity, and blue with masculinity. The mnemonic value is linked seamlessly with emotional association. It's difficult to predetermine since it is personal and it's going to differ from person to person. For instance, if you have really bad allergies to bananas, then you may have an aversion to yellow. Make sure you fully research the mnemonic value before you begin the process of logo development. You want to pose a question. If a question is asked or presented, the viewer must provide an answer in his or her head. This is going to force the viewer to spend more time with the message and therefore become more intimate with it. However, make sure that your question invites a response as opposed to asking an unsolvable one. A visual solution that takes hours to interpret or needs accompanying text is not going to succeed. Make sure you design for the long haul. The ideas that connect are the ideas that resonate with us emotionally. Avoid style and trend. They rarely have lasting emotional resonance. A logo must be able to convey its message over a long period of time, and it must be able to adapt to cultural changes. Here's some considerations that are going to impact longevity. Is the logo a strong representation of the client's company as well as their current and future goals? Is the typography based on classic forms that are going to stand the test of time, or does it depend on a style that is going to ultimately cause it to be trendy and short-lived? Is the iconography culture specific or universal? This could definitely impact future use. And is the logo well crafted enough and aesthetically appropriate to exist unchanged for years? You want to make the logo a foundation of a system. Just like the foundation of a building, the logo is the basis for all messages. Make sure when you are presenting a logo to a client that it is shown in the context of other elements, other visuals and ideas. You rarely see the logo all by itself. A visual system is derived from a logo. It should complement the marks and form. The visual system should include guidelines for usage of color, of typography, of imagery, of style, copy, product usage. The guidelines are going to protect the mark and clarify the environment it occupies. This will protect the message and the company it represents. You want to design for a variety of media. A logo should be legible and clear on a one-color newspaper ad, as well as a website, three-dimensional signage, the side of a van, television, a coffee mug, whatever. Given the constant evolution of media, the information delivery system that you need to develop needs to ensure that a mark can be used over a multitude of medium, no matter what its immediate needs may be. As a designer, you should plan for the unplanned. Sometimes clients think of only their immediate needs, but it's your job to make them aware of other uses and to educate them on what and how the logo is going to look when it's reduced down to grayscale, when it's used in a one-color environment, when it's blown up and put on a huge sign. You're the expert. Make sure that you educate them as you go through the process. You want to be strong. Understand your role, your client's role, and maintain a clear vision. There's a fine line between uncertainty and collaboration. The design process is often subjective, with logos and identity at the core of a sense of self. In order to reach a sustainable solution with the design, the final logo needs to address the client's goals and messages. If you sidestep the emotional landmines and personal politics, it can be one of the most challenging aspects of the design process. Every situation is different. The best solution is to maintain a clear vision and connection to the primary goal. The designer, as an outside consultant, is able to better see the larger picture without being distracted by the day-to-day operations of the company. Defining, and in some cases reminding, the client of the desired outcome and the critical message is crucial. As a designer, especially when involved with the design of a logo, you'll need to deal with emotional and political issues. You may find yourself in the role of a bad guy to certain people in the company that are not involved with the design process. Many people don't like change, and a designer is sometimes a catalyst for change. You may have to deal with an owner that loves a particular shade of blue. Perhaps it's not the best color to clearly project the message of the company. How you handle and resolve these issues has a critical impact on the results. Your role as a designer, a patient listener, a detective, you need to try to really understand what the true message is, unconvoluted from personal opinions of individuals. And then you need to present the material in a manner that's going to showcase not only the design, but the reason why the design supports the need. Making people feel good is not the designer's job, but producing a viable and effective logo, that is your job.